I love to go back to places. I'm the type of person that is like, I'm a repeater because I genuinely do make friends by dancing with strangers. So if I find an affinity to a place and create community and build friendships, there are places where I keep going back because of building these genuine friendships. And I like going back because I want to keep digging deeper into these styles of dance and the culture. It's just like so warm and welcoming and beautiful.
This is Creator, the podcast from Matador Network. I'm your host, Ross Borden, and I believe creators are the future of all global advertising. So join me as I sit down with top creators to hear about how they got started, the challenges they've overcome, and the tips you need to become a full-time creator. All right, we're back with another episode of Creator, the podcast. Today we have Mickela Mallozzi.
Mallozzi. There's like a T in there.
Mallozzi. I'm just like adding A's to your name.
Hey, Ross.
Mickela has been a travel friend of mine for a very long time. You started as a creator around the time I started Matador, which is ages ago.
Yep.
And you've blossomed into quite an amazing creator and career. You're now a 4-time Emmy award-winning host of Bare Feet Travel with Mickela Mallozzi, which is on PBS and Amazon Prime. That's super cool. Can't wait to hear about that. So tell us how you got started. You were a classically trained dancer at first, and then you started traveling. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Well, first I want to say congratulations to you, Ross, because you've blossomed. Matador's exploded. So it's been really cool to see each other's journeys over the past 15 years, friend. That's a long time.
Yeah. Thanks.
So Bare Feet, I like to say I make new friends by dancing with strangers. So in every place I go, I learn the dance and music from the people of each place I go to. And I grew up dancing. I was a trained dancer. I'm a trained musician. I went to school for music. It ended up working in the music industry for about 7 years. But I caught the travel bug. I studied abroad the summer between my sophomore and junior year of college, and then just got hooked onto travel. Inexpensive travel, right? Not this idea of luxury travel. It was if I could teach dance or if I could work or any way, or if a friend of mine was studying abroad another year, I'd sleep on their couch and just bop around Europe while visiting them, taking the trains, Eurail, all these old ways of traveling inexpensively. I did that. And what I found was when I would travel to these places, if I couldn't speak the local language, which I couldn't, I would dance with people in this very respectful way. I wouldn't just start try to make there was no such thing as YouTube or Instagram or even Facebook earlier on and making viral videos, right? It was about actual interactions without documenting this on camera. It was about having these actual experiences. And so I would go to festivals or holidays or street fairs and dance with folks, and I would approach them and ask them to teach me, or I would just start following them and we'd start dancing. And then from there, that was where the magic happened. They would say, "Oh, my mother's cooking a meal. Come," gesture me to come with me, not kidnapping, but me come with me to my home and have this family meal. Or I was invited to a brother's wedding while we were in Mumbai. We were salsa dancing in Mumbai. We ended up going to this Bollywood wedding the next day because we were dancing. So I thought, wow, this is a really magical way to connect with people pretty immediately. And fast forward, I became a professional dancer, dance teacher, and then in the middle of the night, woke myself up and had this dream, had this vision really of what Bare Feet is today, projecting out of my eyeballs. I tell this story all the time where I saw Bare Feet. I saw me dressing in costume and my film crew and everything that I saw has come to fruition and then some. And I had no TV background, no production background, and just started this journey of how do I tell stories of connection with the world through the lens of dance and music. And here we are 15 years later.
I was going to ask you, when you said you dance with strangers and make friends, I was how do you go to a new place and just do you go to dance studios?
Yeah.
But it sounds like you go to, I've seen amazing, you've got a killer production set up, and I see you in a lot of these studios that are clearly a bunch of professional dancers or people studying dance.
Yeah.
But you also just go to festivals and meet people sort of randomly and then start dancing. Is that one of those two or both?
All of the above. All the above. We try. Yeah, we Bare Feet's really about making dance accessible, because in Western culture here, specifically in the United States, When we see dance represented in media, it's Dancing with the Stars, So You Think You Can Dance, America's Best Dance Crew, which are wonderful. These are trained artists that have been training for their entire lives, and it's incredible artistry. But I also wanted to show in other cultures, dance is part of like everyday ritual and everyday celebration. And some of the folks that we interview, they're like, I'm a doctor, but I'm also this musician, or I'm a taxi driver, but I'm also this flamenco dancer. You know, like not everybody considers themselves a professional in the artistry. They consider themselves, they have a career, and then they do this incredible dancing as part of like just life. And so that's kind of how Bare Feet really, the impetus of it was showing how accessible and how much dance is part of everyday interaction in a lot of different cultures. And when I first started Bare Feet, it was these random interactions that I was starting to document. And as I grew the show, and as we've built an audience, a substantial audience across the United States and starting now worldwide, we do a lot of research. We work with the local destinations and the tourism boards, and we do incorporate folk dances, professional dancers, contemporary dancers, anything that's in what's happening with the culture, right? Because we use dance and music as a jumping off point to create conversation, much like a lot of people use food, right? You're sitting around a table and creating conversation. Instead, we use our bodies to communicate immediately. And then it's like, why do these dances exist? Why are you passing them down from generation to generation? What does it mean to you? What does it mean as a part of your cultural identity to do these dances? What is it if you're a part of an immigrant community that you've preserved these traditions? What does it mean for you as part of an indigenous community that you've grown up in, still preserving these dances and songs? Like that's what Bare Feet's about.
It's a door to the whole culture.
For sure. Yeah.
How many countries have you been to now and danced? Like this must take you all over the world because you're in your 7th season of the show, right?
We've done actually 3 seasons in New York. Like post-COVID, we couldn't travel. So we traveled throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City without using a passport, right? So I haven't been to as many countries as other people may think. I've been to 40 countries, but I love to go.
That's pretty good.
That's still, yeah. But it's not like 100 and something. I love to go back to places. I'm the type of person that is like, I'm a repeater. Because I genuinely do make friends by dancing with strangers. So if I find an affinity to a place and create community and build friendships, I go back. Like I've been to Ireland. At this point, I can't even count how many times. I've been to Argentina to do tango in Buenos Aires 3 times. I've been to Uzbekistan twice. You know, like there are places where I keep going back because of building these genuine friendships. And I like going back because I want to keep digging deeper into these styles of dance and the culture. It's just like so warm and welcoming and beautiful. And yeah.
What have been some of your favorite places to dance that you've been to?
Yeah. Well, in our newest season, we go to Aotearoa to New Zealand, and I'm dancing with the Maori, the Ngāti Whatua Orake iwi, the tribe Ngāti Whatua Orake took us right in. I got to do the Haka on the pitch of Eden Park, which is the field where the All Blacks play. That was a dream come true. Like there's a little clip in Newsweek magazine. It has a picture of my head, and it interviewed a bunch of us travel writers during COVID. Like, once we can start traveling again, where do you want to go? And it was like, I want to go to New Zealand to dance the Haka with the Maori.
So do you do a mean Haka right now? I've always wanted to get good at Haka.
Well,
even though I'd be a poser. I'm from California, but I think that's just such a tight part of their language. That's such a cool thing. And I love they do it to psych out opponents before a rugby match or to celebrate culture at a festival. Yep. It's like such a uniting national point of pride for the Kiwis.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like getting goosebumps thinking about it. There's a thing called the wiri. Wiri is when they do this. It's basically represents energy or movement or life, like a life force. And you're doing that while you're doing the Haka. And to learn the Haka out of context, is probably cultural appropriation, right? And this is where what we do is there's a fine line between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation. We always go in asking permission. We always go in very humbly, and we always go in being very grateful for whatever the culture of the people that they want to share with me. I don't expect anything. There's no sort of like, you owe me this. We want to come in here and you have to do this for us. It's really this dialogue of, I would love to try. That's the thing about the show Bare Feet is it's not a presentation of their culture through dance and music. It is this immersive experience where every place I go, I learn the dance and music and traditions and put on the regalia or the costume and learn part of the language as part of this experience to bring in our audience to have this sort of really immersive experience for them as well. And so to be able to build the trust of a lot of communities that we go into, it takes a lot of time. And we're very grateful. And all of our crew members, we're a small crew considering for television. We're 6 people, including myself. And there's a lot of preparation, especially when we went to Tamaki Makaurau, when we went to Auckland, New Zealand, of the respect of the iwi, of the tribe, of their traditions, of preparation for understanding what we're doing is sacred.
I was going to ask you about that because there's been, I would say in like the last 5 years, there's been this huge reaction to like, and honestly, I feel like it's a really fine line between cultural appreciation versus appropriation. But I feel like a lot of people throw the cultural appropriation flag a little too soon without knowing what the thing is. And when there is appreciation and you do come with respect and you ask for permission, I think like it's all love. I think it's a really positive thing. And I think it's a bummer that it gets that label sometimes when someone is just trying to learn a culture, they're enjoying the culture, they're immersing in it, which could include putting on a different dress, a kind of dress that culture wears. And then instantly that will be flagged as culture. Oh, this is a cultural appropriation. So do you hear that from some people, commenters on social? And yeah, how have you thought about that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a priority for me and for our team. Cultural appreciation, this is from my experience, is going in and asking permission. It is the baseline of all of this, is asking permission. It is also practicing and understanding and maybe putting on the regalia or pieces when it is appropriate, right? That's another thing. I'm not going on my socials and doing the Haka myself here in New York without the support or someone who is of knowledge of this practice without their guidance. I'm not going out here saying, I know the Haka now, let me teach you the Haka. That is not what I'm doing. That would be cultural appropriation. I'm not asking for permission to do that either. I haven't been trained. I haven't been passed down the knowledge of that. When I go into these places, we did 2 episodes in Aotearoa. So we had 9 days of filming. That is in no way enough time to fully understand the depth of the culture of any culture. And usually when we film 1 episode, it's 4 days. Cultural appropriation would be that if I had taken that out of context, if I wear that piece of regalia out of context, AKA at Coachella, taking Instagram photos, let's be real. Mm-hmm. The cultural appreciation is being in the space within the culture. And this is from my experience. Other people may disagree, but going into that space, asking permission from that group, them giving me the permission and also the access to this information, to this knowledge, to these pieces, to this dance, to this music. And then I don't take it out of that space. A lot of times I'm gifted like beautiful pieces by a lot of these groups, but I'm not walking around the streets of New York flaunting these pieces.
Rocking it as fashion because it's their religion or their custom.
Yeah,
so it's sacred.
Yeah. Or unless like I was given this beautiful robe from Uzbekistan, it is fashion. Like it was done to wear, like you're going out. So I'm like, I'm going to wear it because I was given permission and this is what it's made to do. And from the people that gave it to me and have told me like, we want you to wear this with pride. Beautiful. It's out of just respect. Like in any aspect of travel and interaction with another human being is respect and permission and asking for permission. That's it.
Sounds incredible. So for that one, did you do research and connect with people ahead of time, or do you ever just like wing it and go?
No.
And no, you guys are doing like full.
We're a TV show, Ross. It's not like 15 years ago.
So tell me about.
It used to be we wung it. I would wing it, right? Because it was just me. It was like me and my camera. Right. Let's show up. Let's figure out who I can connect with. We're making a television show is expensive. I have to pay my crew. We gotta.
Yeah. So tell me about the show itself. So did you start with Amazon or did you start with PBS in terms of the distribution?
I started. So we're on Amazon Prime, but we are also on Go Traveler. So we're independently produced. So I shot the pilot myself. I hired friends. We went back to my family's hometown in southern Italy because I come from a family of immigrants. Obviously, the Mallozzi, the Z's in there. Mm-hmm. But both my parents, their families immigrated in the 60s. And I thought I was pitching this show to be on Travel Channel back when Travel Channel still aired travel content. Travel. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
ghosts. Paranormal, ghost stuff.
So I was pitching to all these producers and they're like, interesting idea, because no one had done anything like it before. Interesting idea, but you definitely won't be the host. Like I just didn't look like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, busty travel host or TV host. I mean, that was the reality of it.
Wow, that's pretty crazy for them to say. It's like your idea, your passion. They're like, well, first off, you definitely won't be the host.
Well, Ross, welcome to being a woman. For all the women watching this podcast, like that was the reality. It still is in a lot of instances, but 15 years ago was a different landscape for sure. And look, rightfully so. I had no hosting experience whatsoever. So even if it was my passion, I didn't know what I was doing at the start of it. I just knew like I have this weird skill of learning dances very, very quickly. I talk to people. I'm an extrovert. You know this. I'm an extrovert. I'll talk to anybody. And so they didn't know that. And I couldn't prove that without starting to make videos. So I was making these videos myself. But then I decided I'm going to hire my friends and we'll film this pilot. Fast forward, I was connected to the local station here in New York City. It's the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. That's the Made in New York, that whole branding. And they said, yeah, you're a local New Yorker. We'll air your TV show. And I was like, great. They're like, give us 13 episodes. We'll start airing it next month. And I hung up the phone and I was like, I don't have 13 half-hour episodes, but I have some of these YouTube videos and I did this pilot. So I like hired some friends. I would barter, Jules, Traveling Jules, Juliana Brasti. Mm-hmm. We went on shoots together. Doozer, Ryan Van Doozer. Like I would barter with them. Like it's a free trip to Korea, but if you can film with me, like you did what you had to do for that first run of episodes. And it just started to build from there. It was airing locally here in New York, which is the #1 TV market in the United States. So it was kind of amazing. And then over the years, figured out how to make a TV show, figured out how to produce, how to build a team, how to raise money. We're completely independently produced. So it's all brought to you in part by. I found that PBS was a perfect platform for me because there was no barrier to entry in the sense there was no executive saying, Mickela, you're not pretty enough or tall enough or whatever. As long as you can, it's educational, informational, and entertaining programming, and you can find the funding and it meets the requirements of the production value, you can start airing on public television. And, this is really important stuff, and we can dig a little deeper on PBS. There's no limitation on really talking about cultures in the Caribbean and its roots in the transatlantic slave trade and how that's really impacted the communities to today, right? Like we really got to dig into that. And it's like, that's what's driving me now is letting these stories sit, these heavy stories and joyful stories. But like, you can't do that on other platforms. You really, really can't. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a great point about PBS saying if you're passionate about it, it's a cool idea, there's an audience for it, we're in. I've always found, because I've pitched TV executives as well, and I always find that they glom on to one thing. They're like, cooking competitions are hot right now. So what do you have? Do you have any cooking competition? It's like they just want to do the rinse and repeat, and they want to go with what's working, which is why I think how like the Travel Channel ended up just doing straight up paranormal alien ghost programming, is they had like 1 or 2 hit shows and they're like, we're going full ghost. We're going full ghost. We're like, what do you have for paranormal ghost shows? And I was like, nothing. You know, we don't do ghost shows. Yeah. So, that's cool. And I don't want to, you know, veer into too far into politics, but how does that will that affect your show? Or like, what is the defunding of PBS mean for all the producers and creatives who have content and shows on that channel?
Yeah. So look, everything's political now. Let's just be real. Public television has been defunded. There is no more money coming to it. And it's actually, they're pulling back funding that was already allocated by a bipartisan bill for the past 2 years that will now be pulled back for the next 2 years, which is unfortunate. What that looks like is creating independent television for public television PBS was already very difficult because basically the funding we get is from foundation support or our viewers. But what it actually is now going to happen is without that funding, a lot of the rural stations, the rural PBS stations, will lose about 20% of their funding to run the stations. So we don't get any money from the CPB, from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. That money goes to help support local PBS stations run. That's why, where are you, Ross, in LA or San Francisco?
California. Yeah. San Francisco Bay Area.
So KQED is your local PBS member station, right? So we air, I think like Tuesdays at 9 p.m. at KQED. In New York City, where I am, Channel 13, we air Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Each individual PBS member station acts completely independently based on what their local programming, what their local markets want, right? That's why it's really important, local programming. The major markets like San Francisco, KQED, New York, they're not going anywhere because their funding is much smaller that they get from the government. It's these rural stations that are going to close down. It's really, really sad and disheartening and dangerous. But at the same time, what we've seen just in the past few weeks is more and more people are in solidarity of supporting PBS. They're like tuning in more. They're donating to their local PBS member station. What I have to say on behalf of Bare Feet is our carriage, our people who are going to be able to access Bare Feet, it's not going to change that much because the rural stations don't account for a big percentage of the United States population. So even though out of 330 public media stations and PBS stations, maybe 15 to 20 of them will close, and that would account for about 1 to 2% of the US population. The rest will have to depend on donor support and funding from other foundations, not from the government. But I think as they consolidate and really gather the funding from people who see the importance in PBS, we see that there's still support. We're not going anywhere. We're still going to be airing. Our new season comes out December 1st. PBS is sort of rejiggering to make sure that they are sustainable even without the millions of dollars that they used to get. So that's the reality of it. We just have to work harder to make sure that people see these beautiful stories of truth, of diversity.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, the silver lining is that your show isn't going anywhere and it's still going to be in all the major markets. So take me back to, okay, so you got interest from PBS originally, but the big caveat there that you don't have with, back in the day with travel programming like Travel Channel or Discovery was that they were going to fork over the budget for your production budget. You have to self-fund everything. So how do you do that? Like, how do you sustain for so many years, have your own crew, do that TV level of production when you are completely independent?
Because I'm a badass. No, just kidding. No, it really was figuring it out. It was figuring it out. So to give you context, the first few season 1 and 2, season 1, we had 2 shooters, 2 film videographers, but most of it was me and 1 shooter. Not even a sound person, like I was the sound person. Season 2, which we did in New York City, which as season 1 came out, we put it out on public television. So we got sponsors. We are fiscally sponsored by New York Women in Film and Television. So if someone wants to give a donation that is to get tax deductible donation, we can accept that on behalf of our fiscal sponsor. We work with the local tourism boards. When we started, it was a barter. It was like, we're going to do this episode if you can help cover our travel costs. And basically it's a half-hour ad to your destination. And our first season is still airing. All the seasons are still airing on PBS. You can still find them on pbs.org and the PBS app and on Amazon.
So an amazing investment on their part to just pay for your trip, and they get, years and years of programming.
Yeah. So, and then for the New York season, since it's New York based, made in New York, we got some funding from the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment to produce those series. And that was learning, if I create content that's based here in New York, they will help fund that as well. So after a while, it was like, okay, let's work with these destinations. How can we create partnerships and offer them ancillary ways of over delivering with these episodes so that they can give us some sponsorship support. We have the brought to you in part buys. Those are the spots that we sell, those pods of either foundations, like China Airlines is one of our newest sponsors that's on board for season 8. We've had Tourism Ireland, who we love. They've come on board as a sponsor. So there's ways.
So can you do those ad breaks on PBS?
It's not an ad break. If you ever watch on PBS at the beginning and end of any show that you watch, it's like this episode of whatever is brought to you in part by. Yeah. And that's
cool.
That's what we can give. And it's not an ad, because if you read them, watch them very carefully, they're just stating what the product is. And half the time they're saying, Viking River Cruises is a proud sponsor of Masterpiece, right? So it's brand awareness, but it's not saying like, go to Viking River Cruises for 50% off coming up. If you watch, it's not an ad. So
nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday.
Right. Right. So that's the hard part, because when you talk to brands, they're like, we want brand integration. We want you to show using the product in the show. And it's like, this is why public television is, and PBS is the most trusted media platform in the United States, because there's no sponsor influence on the content of the shows. That's the basis of public television.
Amazing. And then what about Amazon? Did you guys just go through you have quality content, you can put it on Amazon Prime, or is that like a licensing deal?
It's a licensing deal. So it's not an Amazon original. It's great viewership. Also, same with Go Traveler. Go Traveler is a newer platform. It's kind of replaced the Travel Channel theme. You should kind of check them out. Actually, they're great. But they then distribute us through Tubi and Pluto and all these other platforms. And I've had new fans that are like, I was just in a store the other day. She's like, my husband and I watch you all day. You're on this new app called Go Travel every Tuesday and Thursday, and they just play your show all day long. And I was like, amazing, so it's cool to see the different platforms where people are consuming content. Look, as long as they watch the show. And I say this all the time, like, I'm not making a lot of money. I'll be very transparent. You don't go into public television to make the money if you want to make a lot of money. But I get to tell the stories that I've always wanted to tell. And I have a team that I can pay. And we're able to reach so many wonderful people and connect with real viewers that are real people that are making decisions about their lives, whether it's places they're going to travel to or things that they want to share with their families and their friends. Like, I hear this every day. And to me, yes, I need the money to keep the lights on. But at the same time, like, I love my job so much. I'd love to get paid and be on like a huge platform and get that money. But for now, we're able to keep this going. I don't know any other. YouTube is an incredible platform to do that. And I think our content, we've started putting them on YouTube, our videos, but it's a certain demographic and way of storytelling that you do through PBS that has really fit with our storytelling and our content. Yeah.
Yeah. Very different than like YouTube editing style. You guys are a TV show.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're doing great. Congrats on all the success. It's great to catch up. And so what's coming next? You said the new season 8, is it, launching in December?
Yeah. So we have season 8 coming in December. That'll be 6 new episodes, including the Maori episodes. So we have one about Maori culture, another one celebrating Matadiki, which is the Maori New Year. 3 episodes in Taiwan, one including a full indigenous episode. There's 16 indigenous tribes recognized federally by Taiwan. And then we have our Havana, Cuba episode. We filmed that before the new administration came in, so it was an easier way to get in and film. But it's probably one of my favorite episodes. It's such a bare feet episode because everywhere we went, it was just music and dance everywhere. You could not avoid.
I could see that for Cuba.
Yeah, we walked into a barber shop and I'm salsa dancing with the barber. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we're excited to check it out. So Mickela, one question that I ask everyone who comes on the show, especially you said you've been to 40 countries. It's going to be tricky for you, anyone who's traveled a lot. If your passport only worked in 3 places and you could live, visit, travel only in 3 places for the rest of your life, what would those 3 countries be?
Ireland. I'm sorry. Ireland is like my favorite place in the world. Ireland. So I have family in Italy, like I said, and I still have Mallozzi, but I still harvest my great grandparents' olives.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like an amazing experience.
Yeah. I mean, we have a tiny little farmhouse. It's nothing fancy, but it is like my heart. So
where's that in Italy?
Between Rome and Naples on the West Coast. If you see our pilot episode where I have very long hair and I'm 28 years old and you'll get to see our hometown. It's really quite stunning.
Cool. All right.
So Italy,
Ireland, Italy. Will she choose US as the 3rd? Remember, it's not just outside the US and also the US.
No, I know.
Total
3. I know that. Look, I'm a New Yorker at heart. My life is here. Our friends, our families, everybody in our lives are here. But I hate that I picked 2 European places and the United States.
Well, 2 great European places.
I know.
Though.
But there are places that are I genuinely go back all the time. I feel like all 3 of those places are home to me. So
that's what this question is about.
Yeah, those
it's
3.
Where you want to spend the most of your time, not the place you want to see someday.
No, and those are the places that I actually split my time almost evenly in my life at this point.
Well, Mickela, great to see you.
Likewise.
Congrats. And if people are not aware, where can they find you on social? And then do these all air at different times depending on what part of the country you live in?
Yeah. So if you go to travelbarefeet.com, you can find everything, including past episodes. But at Travel Bare Feet is us on socials. But if you go to the PBS app on your smart TV or pbs.org, or if you still watch PBS over broadcast, go to check out your local PBS member station for your local listings starting December 1st, and they'll come out weekly, but they'll keep airing. And also, if you go to travelbarefeet.com, you can put in your zip code and see when upcoming airings are coming of Bare Feet in your local station. So
smart.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Mickela.
Thank you, Ross.
Creator the Podcast is produced by Matador Network. We are a leading global travel publisher focused on travel and adventure. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe. Every week, I interview a new top creator. New episodes are released every Tuesday on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere podcasts are found. Thanks for listening.